Now, Matt Hancock, as we said earlier, has expressed that he is very sorry for breaching social distancing guidance after being pictured in a clinch with a female advisor, but he made clear in a statement that he does not plan to resign.
The Health Secretary broke cover in a statement released by NAID in which he appealed for privacy for his family and said he was focused on working to get the country out of this pandemic.
No, you're watching. I think we can talk to. There he is, Darren McCaffrey, our intrepid political editor. There he is, Darren. I'm sure you've been following the story very, very closely. Do you think Matt Hancock can hang on?
Well, he's clearly trying to, isn't he, Liam, with this statement, making clear that yes, he has made mistakes, as he put it, that he's broken the guidance. Notable there on the word guidance rather than the law. And there is some kind of controversy about the dates involved in this, because we know that picture was taken on May 6th, but the actual changes in terms of interactions with people, particularly those that were not in your household, did not change until May 17th. In fact, actually, Matt Hancock was talking in interviews the previous day on the 16th of May about how important it was around personal responsibility. Those pictures clearly demonstrate that he was not giving that space of 2 meters. Quite frankly, when you look at those pictures from inside kind of a government building of him seemingly kissing one of his most senior aides. In addition to that, though, as I say, he's apologised for breaking that guidance. He says that he feels he's let people down. He recognises that he breached the social distancing rules. But he says he's remained focused as Health Secretary. And of course, Liam goes on to say that this is a private matter for him and his family, and he wants essentially some space, I think, some privacy with all of this. Many people, though, are pretty aggrieved about it. They think that he has essentially broken the rules on all of this. There are also questions about the hiring of this aide. Was this a relationship that potentially started before she started in the job? And in addition to that, we know the Labour Party have issued a statement in the last hour or so, essentially calling for him to resign. Annalise Dodds, the chair of the party, saying that his position now is hopelessly untenable and that Boris Johnson should sack him. Of course, if he was to be sacked by Boris Johnson, that might raise questions, given the fact that if he sacked for having an affair, something that must be said the Prime Minister himself is relatively familiar with.
Is the Prime Minister full support, standing by him? I'm keeping him in his job. What's the word from Number 10?
Well, the strange thing in many ways, Gloria, what we've not heard is actually some wholesome, fulsome support from Number 10, though clearly this statement will undoubtedly be approved by the press office. So I think we've got this sense that Matt Hancock is trying to hold on. Now, there are going to be more details, I think, that are going to come out in the coming days about this, not least of all, essentially, how this appointment of the senior aide came about. We know, I think, that they went to university together, which wasn't made terribly clear at the time when she was hired. And so there will be questions about when potentially this relationship first started. Matt Hancock was today due to attend a vaccine rollout centre, which subsequently was cancelled at the last minute this morning, clearly trying to avoid questions. That will only be able to last, of course, for some time. At the end of the day, journalists will be trying to get answers to these questions. And so, as always in these stories, in many ways, the devil is in the detail. And I suspect there will be further revelations to come out. In the grand scheme of things, of course, Matt Hancock has had a pretty torrid time over the last couple of months. What did the Queen say the other day? Poor Secretary of State, because, you know, we've had obviously the allegations from Dominic Cummings, allegations over his handling of what happened in care homes, his general input into the pandemic and the government's response to it. This affair clearly adds to that, even the sense that he has self-admittedly broken the guidance when it came to social distancing, guidance that he repeatedly reinforced as Health Secretary. But there is a sense that, you know, whether it's the next couple of days, weeks, certainly at the next reshuffle, which potentially could happen before the summer recess, or certainly by September, the expectation is that Matt Hancock will not be Health Secretary for very much longer in this government. The sense is he's going to be shuffled elsewhere. Whether he's similarly jumped from the government altogether, well, I think, you know, use that terrible journalism cliche. We are going to have to wait and see how this story essentially plays out.
What do you feel in your bones, Darren? Gloria and I are split. I think he'll be demoted, he'll go. Gloria thinks he'll survive. What do you think?
I think he'll probably survive this latest scandal. I suspect in some ways actually having Matt Hancock there at certain points is quite a good deflector force for the government. So I think potentially he may well get through this couple of days of scandal. As I say, it really depends though on what else comes out. He will not be Health Secretary for very much longer. Whether he leaves the government or not, that's going to be a really interesting one. Whether he's demoted to another cabinet position, a much more junior one, or essentially sent back to the backbenches. It's going to be a difficult call for the Prime Minister, one that's in the balance. What is not, I suspect, as to say that by certainly the autumn, he will no longer be the Health Secretary.
Great to have you with us as ever, Darren, but you've let me down. Gloria's feeling smug now that you're agreeing with.
It's hard. It's hard when you're wrong all the time, Liam. I know. I mean, our heart goes out to you. It happens.
We shall see. Darren McCaffrey, our political editor, thanks so much as ever.